What was a fact that you regret knowing? The existence of dust mites. I have long since accepted that I'm an ecosystem. A whole new spin on my body is a temple. My dad and I both took DNA tests for fun, and I found out we aren't related. 0% match. For those asking what happened next, from Ops comment history, I found out when I was 45. Long story long. I took a test for fun. My mom had taken one years ago, so I knew what her general contribution would be. I got my results, which were heavy on the indigenous American and Spain, not in my mom's DNA. I told my folks, married as long as I've been alive, and my dad wanted to test. He's older, not tech savvy, so I handled it for him. He came back a 0% match to me. I never told either of them about the non-match. I just kind of let it go, hoping they'd forget about the test. It's a total mind duck when you had zero inkling there was any funny business. I hope you had better luck with the biological father's family than I did. I was flat out rejected. I do have a Mexican great grandfather. I have found a lot of that part of the family and now keep in touch with several first and second cousins. I had posted on an Ancestry DNA sub regarding my NPE, non-parental event. I figured out the man who raised me is not my biological father. A college student took my case on for free and helped me over the course of a couple years to narrow it down to one of two brothers, but they are not cooperative at all. There was a woman in the 18th century called Mary Toft who stuffed dead rabbits into her vagina and later acted as if she gave birth to them. The doctors believed her till one of them examined, found corn in one of the rabbits' stomachs. It couldn't have been in there. She also did the same with a hog's bladder and a cat's legs. Also with about 15 rabbits. Don't know why I even know this. Edit. Who the duck found this helpful. Please don't put rabbits in your vagina or any other hole. The corn in the rabbit's stomach is what tipped them off. If this is true, it's kind of ridiculous. But when I think about it, 18th century equals 1700s equals maybe they called it witchcraft. Pretty crazy what people believed only a few hundred years ago. From personal experience, just how fast pigs process a corpse. Had an old goat die in the barn and didn't find her for a couple hours. At the time we had two pigs that were a few months old. Didn't realize just how much we had ducked up by letting them be in with the goats that day. Come evening, we go to close up and do the evening chores and find half of a goat spilled all over the floor with our pigs rooting around the guts. And that's the story of how 15-year-old me learned to respect pigs. My mom's cousin interacted with a pig when she was 5. Many years later, it took very many surgical operations from a very talented doctor to make her face look acceptable. And there was no way to restore 2 lost fingers. Of course, pigs scare the living hell out of me. I don't trust them. I don't find them cute. Something along the lines of, if a child is kidnapped and isn't recovered within 4 hours, there's an 80% chance they're already killed. Bob Ross actually hated his afro. When he started out, it was the cheapest hairstyle to maintain. And once he picked up some traction, it was too iconic to get rid of. This is the saddest thing I've read. I'm not going to share it with anyone. Now this is the burden I carry. About to get sadder. Towards the end of his shows he wore a wig due to balding from chemo. Broke my heart when I read that. That my real mum is my sister. I'm adopted. More people jumped from the burning World Trade Center on 9/11 than you think. Do yourself a favor and don't Google it. This is the fact I was going to post. Watching 9/11 on TV. I was too young to know what was going on, but I remember my dad crying and saying fear jumping over and over. Seriously, I was on a 9/11 kick recently, if you want to call it that. And I came across a documentary on YouTube of footage stitched together from the first plane hitting to the final building collapsing, lasting about 1 hour and 40 minutes. No interviews, just cell phone footage, old home cameras and some news footage sprinkled in. There's a section in the documentary of people beginning to jump one after another. It continues on for the rest of the documentary and it's very disheartening. The magnitude of how dirty hotel rooms are. The worst part of this for me is that I worked in housekeeping at a hotel one summer when I was in high school. Maybe that particular hotel was just really good at keeping the place clean and was an exception. But I do have to wonder how much crap I just never noticed because I was a dumb teenager. I watched someone jump off the Stone Arch Bridge in Minneapolis and saw them pee their pants right before they jumped. While living in San Diego, I saw 2 jumpers. One from a work campus building, one from a highway overpass. Neither survived. I felt the need to share because I recently thought about those events and I'm now living in Minneapolis. I couldn't imagine being on the literal precipice. Just all the events that lead those people there is really overwhelming, horrifying, and sad. Chainsaws were originally meant to be a surgeon's instrument to aid in childbirth. No joke, Google it. This is going to give me nightmares until menopause. Actor Daniel von Bargen, Super Troopers. Scene fault, attempted suicide by shooting himself in the temple with a .38 revolver. He was diabetic and didn't want to go to the hospital for another amputation. Unfortunately, he survived and was severely wounded. He also was permanently blinded from the gunshot. There's a transcript of the police call that left me shook. He passed away 3 years later from a battle with diabetes. I remember reading this is why some people duct tape the gun to their hand if they attempt suicide in case the first shot doesn't complete the job. Edit. For those asking why the duct tape, I believe the idea is that you can damage the part of your brain that affects your vision, but not die from it. Then you are possibly disabled, blind, and in pain, but unable to finish what you started if you dropped or lost the gun. Not much fun to think about. Had a family friend that failed to kill himself that way, also managed to blow his jaw off. If things were bad before, my friend's brother did this. It went through the bottom of his jaw and out of his mouth. It blew his teeth out, and after surgeries he's fine. The family pretends it didn't happen. Edit. I meant he's physically fine recovery wise, not mentally fine. Edit 2. This is my friend's family, not mine. The Challenger space shuttle astronauts were most likely alive and awake on the way down. NASA's lead investigator, Robert Overmyer, concluded most, if not all of the crew were alive and possibly conscious during the entire descent until impact with the ocean. After the investigation, Overmyer stated, I not only flew with Commander Dick Scobie, we owned a plane together, and I know Scob did everything he could to save his crew. Scob fought for any and every edge to survive. He flew that ship without wings all the way down. Apostrophe. That you have to clean lumps out from underneath a horse's foreskin from time to time. No I don't. Yes you do. Go do it now. An octopus penis is actually one of their tentacles. So if you would go and pet an octopus at SeaWorld or some other place, you could be groping their penis. This happened in Dragon Ball Super. Goku really shook an alien's dick. The youngest recorded person to give birth was 5 years old. Edit. For those asking, here's a link. M. Wikipedia. org/wiki/Lina_Medina. I just was reading about that again yesterday. It is so sad. I can't even fathom. Her mom said the daughter started getting periods at age 3. The dad was arrested under suspicion that he was the rapist, but they couldn't prove it, so they let him go and never found out who it was. Her son grew up thinking they were brother and sister, but he was told at age 10 that his sister was actually his mom. So wild. At age 10, when his biological mom was 15. I can't imagine. That my father died believing that I was not his child. When my mother told me, it broke my heart and has forever changed my relationship with my family. Edit. Thanks for your interest in my story. It's helped to put answers to some of your questions and to read some of your stories. Why did he believe that though? And because of the wording, I assume he was wrong. We did a sibling test after my mum told me it was her idea. My sister and I were verified as full siblings. Cockroaches can fly at 5 km/h and can live 3 weeks without their head. They eventually die of starvation. They have a main brain in their head and also a primitive brain near their abdomen. Cockroaches also predate grass. The last one is not that scary. but kinda scary knowing they've been here so long, so getting them out will be harder and they will probably outlive humans. Edit reworded some stuff. Oh lord, I hate them so much and wish I hadn't read this. Tapeworm faces are absolutely terrifying. Googled it and found pics of tapeworms in people's faces. That was worse JFC. That my dad likely has terminal brain cancer. I was setting up his My Chart for him and stumbled upon the information. I lost my dad to brain cancer. Since you said likely, I really hope he survives. If you ever need someone to talk to, feel free to PM me. Thank you. I might take you up on that. Also, I'm so sorry for your loss. That my girlfriend once sucked her friend's husband's penis when she went to the bathroom yesterday. Don't put yourself through the pain of trying to continue the relationship. I've made that mistake before and it isn't ducking worth it. Leave her and find someone better. Also, the wife needs to know too. Unless you don't think she can handle the news. Fuck cheaters. I'm just kinda done with it all. My parents are swingers and now well into their 70s. So you know that old folks homes have the highest percentage of STDs, as they won't have to worry about getting pregnant. My great aunt started going senile and was put in a nursing home for the last few years of her life. My family kept getting calls from the management complaining she was visiting all the other residents and didn't like us saying good on her. Apostrophe. From my first job at KFC, you can't really tell the chicken is spoiled once you put it in the fryer. A friend that used to work at KFC said that they were told not to throw away the spoiled chicken. They would just boil it before frying. Also yeah, no more KFC for me. If you live in a high traffic area, it's almost a promise that the food is as fresh as possible. I imagine things like this usually only happen in very slow towns, where stock is never sold out by the next truck shipment. Just helping you out. If you stopped eating at every place that had some sort of isolated horror story, you'll have nowhere to eat. That people dump their old dogs at the shelter in December and get a new puppy for Christmas. Assholes. Open bracket. This really hurts my heart. I hate people. Just don't get a pet if you don't plan on treating it as part of your family for the entirety of its life. Every time you think of a fond memory, you rewrite that memory in your brain. And with time it will slowly deviate more and more from what you originally remembered, without you ever knowing it. I didn't want to know this. Let me have what I thought was the truth until I fade away, damn it. Your comment is pretty funny. You don't like that your memory is inaccurate and therefore want your memory to be even more inaccurate by forgetting the fact about your memory being inaccurate. Because your body uses vitamin C to make collagen, which holds your skin together and makes scar tissue. When you get scurvy, your old wounds reopen. So every old wound, or is there like a limit on how far back? No. If you have a wound that has recently healed, it may have some issues. The time frame for scar to heal and reach maximum strength is 6 to 8 weeks. Most scars will only ever achieve 80% of the pre-injury strength of the tissue. If you were to give someone a wound and have them stop all vitamin C intake, i.e. get on a boat and eat porridge the way sailors who would get scurvy used to, you may see them heal the wound only for it to break open again after a couple of weeks. It may also help if someone hit the scar or tried to injure them again at that location, so the scar wouldn't actually reach the 80% maximum strength. It wouldn't be as dramatic, like a Hollywood-esque alien wound explosion that you may be imagining. Aneurysms can happen to anyone at any time for no reason, and can burst at any time for no reason. Can confirm. Partner passed of one earlier this year. We were talking in bed. I went to use the bath. She went to make coffee. Had a crash. Fuck this year. I'm so sorry. Every year thousands of children write to Santa Claus. One of the most requested things children ask for on their Christmas lists is a dad. This hurts. I'm going to get a drink. Edit. Thank you for all the upvotes, it wasn't expected. I'm a single mother myself. This hit home because my father left when I was 3. My daughter is 4 now and just asked me if she could put on her list a mum and dad. I was shocked because she has a mum and dad, but she meant live together. That hit hard. She has a father she sees regularly, We haven't been together since she was 6 months old. There was an experiment once where every hour a rat had to choose between getting fed or having the pleasure nerve of its brain stimulated, and the rat being tested starved every time. It's pretty interesting, but also kind of sad. Thanks. Freeman's mind. Yes, but for those experiments, they keep the rats isolated in cages with nothing else to do. So of course they choose that option all the time. This is the important part that often goes ignored. Rats are extremely social and only fall to addiction when in social isolation. When they are in a group, they will happily choose food. Says something about the circumstances of drug use in social mammals. The way rabies kills. Once you have symptoms, you're already dead. This is why, when I was scratched by a bat earlier this year, I made sure to get the treatment as soon as possible. Not ducking around with that. One time my university sent out a whole campus alert that someone saw a girl get attacked by a bat and they wanted to make sure she got help. It's harder to recognize suicidal people than you'd think. I don't really regret knowing this, but it's a depressing fact nonetheless. Depressed people in general, typically, are nicer to other people because they don't want to cause others the same pain they feel themselves. I remember a conscious choice I made in my second year of high school to start being nicer to people because being around me and having to potentially listen to me is punishment enough, and they don't need my existence to bring them down further by me being rude. Along with this, I also stopped talking to my favorite teacher because he was too good of a person for me to be around. It's been a few years, and I still can't shake that feeling. There are some species of butterfly that look for human blood to suck. Edit, change sip to suck. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.